So today we're going back to the basics, back to the OG, the Rider-Waite Tarot. I keep saying I can't remember in the Rider-Waite what this card is. So we're gonna bring it out. We're gonna play. I also have, just in case I need it, I have this book. There's a beautiful story behind this book, and I found it on Facebook Marketplace. And one of the things I love about Facebook Marketplace is that sometimes people tell you stories about these items. And there was a woman who she lost her husband. And I believe she went to like a psychic or some sort of spiritual healer, she went to a tarot reader. She went to a tarot reader. And it like unlocked something in her, and she really wanted to learn tarot because she had just lost her partner, and she wanted to find connection, she wanted to find understanding, she wanted to make peace with what was happening in her life. And so she got a tarot deck, she got this book, but it just, I think, was a little bit too much for her. It can be a little daunting, especially in the beginning. Like you really have to allow the cycles to kind of unfold with tarot, in my opinion. Just like astrology, like you can do a deep dive, but then you realize that you've only scratched like 0.5%, and you're like, oh, I've been studying astrology for like a year and a half, and it's like, oh yeah, you've barely scratched the surface. You need a lot of time. You need a lot of time to understand. It's not a quick thing. And I think especially when you're in pain and you're grieving, you sometimes want to find a quick fix to make you feel better. And that's totally okay. But learning this entire practice, it's a lot to try to kind of help you through it, especially if you're trying to learn it on your own and process your own grief, and it's confusing and you're trying to unlock everything. So she decided to sell it, and I am the recipient, and I feel so honored to have received this from her and have that story be told. So it's a beautiful book. I've read through most of it. It's a good resource. It goes really in depth, but yeah, let's begin. The first card that popped out was the Hermit. So I'm thinking that this is like the signifier of the reading. I listened to a reading recently, and they were saying like there's like a negative aspect to the Hermit where there's like this idea of hoarding onto information. Yeah. And so I think traditionally we see the Hermit as like the man in the cave, or like somebody who studies and goes within, and they spend time alone, they are processing, they're doing the work, and then they have their lantern. And I think what it's supposed to be is like they are shining a light for others. They're saying, I have gone within, I have found these answers, and then they are now lighting the way for other people. But then there's this other aspect where maybe it's like Hermit in reverse. I don't know. I'm just kind of playing in my mind right now what feels right to me. But there's this aspect of like hoarding information. So it makes me wonder, like what's coming to mind is, so I'm now on this journey of putting out YouTube videos, and for a very long time I felt like I was like hoarding information. I was spending all this time in conversation with spirit and pulling tarot and reflecting on life and journaling and like just doing all of the work, but then there was no expression. I kept getting these I kept getting these readings being like, you need to unlock your throat chakra. Like, you need to express. So maybe that's a sign, or maybe that's something for someone to say, you know, maybe you've been doing the work, but have you considered how you're going to then express yourself and give that light to the world? How are you going to show others that there is a path? And every path is unique. I truly believe that. I think you can light a path, but you might get somebody started on the journey, but like where that path goes is not up to you. You can just hold the light to say, there's light down this path, but you need to follow it and see where it leads you. Any other messages? The Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, like completing a cycle, right? You know, in this card, everyone has a book. Everyone has a book. Everyone's like writing, reading, like they are. I just get the like education, and it kind of connects with me with the Hermit, where it's like you are spending the time, you are in the books, you're reading, you're writing, you're contemplating, you're reflecting. But the snake is standing out to me, and that typically means transformation. And so the wheel is turning. So what are you going to transform into? What are you going to transform into? Wheel. Knight of Swords, Seven of Swords. I know that that's fast-moving energy. Riding forth in the wind without a care in the world. What I want to say about this card is like, is this what you're worried about? Like, are you worried? Like, are you worried that you're taking something that isn't yours, or that you have to like tiptoe around a situation, and that like, it's funny because the Knight of Swords is like going in, guns a-blazing, and this is like kind of tiptoeing away, being like, oh, we're like sneaking this information. So it feels a little bit conflicting to me. So I almost see it like this energy is there to move fast, to move swiftly if you can, but then you feel like you have to like kind of tiptoe around it, and like you don't feel comfortable going full steam ahead. You just don't feel comfortable. But what happens if you do? What happens if you do? The wheel is turning. You've done the work. You're looking over your shoulder, but I think you know that the path is clear. King of Wands. Success and social responsibility. So kings are responsible for the welfare of society. So you know the truth. You know the truth. You're looking over your shoulder, but you know the truth. I think that's why this came out, because this is like, you don't need to look over your shoulder. You need to move forward. You have the logic behind you. You're honest. You have those values. That's who you're becoming. The energy of the King of Wands. It's very royal. It's like there's the symbols of the lion and the lizard. I can't quite remember what the lizard symbolizes, but the lion obviously is like strength, courage. Page of Wands. There's still lots to learn. You're responsible, but like, you're excited to go on this journey. You're excited to make these choices. You're excited. You're excited to take off your blindfold. I think it can feel a little bit scary. Especially as the wheel turns. There's choices to make, but it kind of feels like there's like a blindfold on, because you don't really know exactly where the choices are going to lead. You have this idea that you are meant to be in this energy. Calm, cool, collected. Taking care of your people, taking care of your business. But you still have to make those choices. But dare I say, make the choices that line with your passions. The things that create that fire in your belly. The things that make you feel good and the things that you want to do. If something doesn't sit right, then maybe it's not right. And allow that uncomfortability to move around in your body and be like, okay, so like, why am I feeling uncomfortable? Do I have to say yes to something that when I really want to say no? Like, where am I feeling that in my body? And so you can be like, oh, like I'm feeling that in my stomach, or I'm feeling that in my heart. Like it doesn't feel good. I feel blocked. Like I feel like I have to say yes, but I really want to say no. Choices. Knight of Wands. My goodness. The whole court is here. This is also fast-moving energy. Passion, I know that. Desire. Follow your desires. You've done the work. I think you know what your desires are, and I think that it's okay to follow them. Allow yourself to make the choices that are an overwhelming yes. Overwhelming yes. Okay, last card. Any last messages? Not quite. The Three of Wands. Yeah, you've done the work. You've put it out there. I love this card. You know, you're waiting for your boats to come in. You're just waiting patiently. But there's change and energy behind this card. And you can see in the distance that things are making their way to you. And you don't quite know which boats they are. You might have sent out 10 boats, and maybe 3 or 4 of them are coming back. And you don't know which ones they are. You don't know which ones are ready for you, but they are coming back. And you will see, and you're going to see which ones are going to bear fruit. And these things are going to move quickly for you. Follow your passions, follow your desires. Only say yes when you want to say yes.